Today we're going to use the new iPad app from Yamaha that connects the M7 to the Yamaha Stage Mix. First thing we'll do is make sure that our router is powered up along with the desk. We have a network cable that goes from the back as if it's another modem into the back of the M7. This will also work for the LS9. First thing you will do is power up your iPad. Do this after you have already made your other connections. The first thing to look for, because there might be other wireless networks in the area, you have to make sure that you are syncing up to the Lynxes. Here at Stagefront, we tend to have a lot of wireless networks going on, and you have to verify that you are connected to the Lynxes. We'll actually see that. I'm going to go to the M7 Stage Mix. We've already added the IP address and MAC address from what's on the desk into the iPad itself. If not, if you're working on another desk, you have room to add multiple mixers, and just when you go to it, it'll ask for the MAC address, IP address, and then you add the mixer, and then we go connect. And it's syncing. We can actually look now. Since we just did this, it already was on the Lynxes, but you can tell that something's happening because you have activity lights going on the router. If they were solid lights, you would know that you were not connected to it. And the only way to change that would be to go to Utilities, to Settings, go to your network. And again, we're on the Lynxes, so I don't have to change that. But if it were to occur, if I was in another venue and for some reason we were not connecting, more than likely it's because the iPad has tried to connect to another network. So now that we're back, we now have connection to the desk. You can actually see that faders will follow the iPad app, going from channels 1 through all the way to 48. We also have our stereo channels, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as you see, they follow. That's the input section. Then on the output sections, we have mix 1 through 8, mix 9 through 16, my matrix 1 through 8, and my master, left, right, center, and monitor. Going to the input channel, the first thing that we're going to do after we've made our connection, it's really handy. Instead of having channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, etc., we can actually go in to the icon. I've already have done the first one, which I named it kick. Obviously kick. The next one would be, say, snare. And as I'm doing this, you'll actually see that the iPad is following. It's now changing from just saying channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. It's following what I'm doing here. And this is real handy when you're, say, maybe doing a band and you can't remember what channel 5 was. Of course, if you only have maybe 4 inputs going on, you could probably figure out what's going on, but it's just real handy to know what you're playing with when you're using the iPad without having to go back to the desk and seeing what it is. So we're going to go to channel 1. I've given this some volume. I can actually go in to the EQ and change my EQ from a high pass filter. I can move up and down, can change the mid highs and the highs, work with my Q. Really, really handy. Once I finish that, I want to get back to the mixer. I just hit mixer. Then I go to my mixes, and I'm going to make sure and these are my output levels for my mixer. we haven't sent anything to it, so we're going to pretty well leave my mixes alone. Now I have played with this before, so look, while I'm at it, I'm going to go to the EQ and I'm going to flatten. And flatten EQ, are you sure? I say yes, and boof, it goes right back. So going back to the mixer, I'm going to go back to my channel, and since we're working on kick, we're going to go to sends on faders. This is how I'm going to set up my monitor mixes for my musicians. So once we get to that screen, mix on faders, it says mix 3, and we're going to actually start with mix 1. So mix 1, the guy wants a little bit of kick, I can go in. He might want just a tad of snare. We can go so forth through the chain from guitar, keyboards, vocals, pretty much right next to the gentleman or lady, as opposed to being 100 feet at front of house or maybe 50 feet off in monitor world. This is real cool because I can actually hear and talk to the performer right next to them, actually hear the same thing that they're hearing. Very good for ringing out your monitors before the sound check even starts. So I did that to mix 1, mix 2. He wants no kick, but say a little bit of snare. And I'm just using those two because of the fact that that's where we started. I could do the whole process, but there's no need for that. Mix 3, mix 4. And like I said, while we're at it, mix 1 now sounds a little muddy, so we can actually EQ. And usually this happens that somebody's trying to tell me what frequencies and trying to convey this maybe 50 feet away. Again, with me having the iPad, I could be right next to the person and actually hear it and actually make the adjustments before he even says so. Once we do that, we go back to mixer. Then the next thing I'm going to go after I set up my mixes, I'll go to the master. And now, instead of being stuck behind the desk, I might want to walk the room. So I can actually go in and again, go to my keys. I've already played with it, so I want to flatten them, start from scratch. It's a stereo left. Instead of going back to the other field, I can actually just scroll, and this takes me to my stereo right. And also mono. So now I'm walking the room, I can actually make my fader changes. You see the desk is actually following it. And it's a lot of fun. Again, it's a great tool for being more efficient when it comes to mixing your monitors, setting up your mixes, definitely ringing out your monitors, and again, walking the room so you can get a good idea of what your PA is actually doing and not stuck behind a desk. Thank you very much.